In the spirit of messing around with different tunings and intervals on this channel, another obvious idea came to me. ABCDEFG, all the notes in our musical lexicon, minus some sharps and flats. And subsequently, all the notes in the A minor scale, minus an octave. Fits perfectly on my 7-string, just coming off of a crazy major thirds tuning. Now, how useful could strings only separated by 1 or 2 frets actually be, you might be asking yourself. Well, I kind of expected as much too until I strung it up and finally got to messing with it. Where noodling around for a bit didn't really give me too much for a demo montage of riffs and tricks, it did give me a lot of ideas and parallels that I thought were cool and expandable. I'm going to try to explain everything as I'm demoing it this time, which is a little different from the format we usually do on these alternate tuning videos. So try to follow along. This is Kevin from Said Too Much. Right away we find you can play a simple melody with just the right hand. Like a 1-octave keyboard, but the strings keep sustaining and sometimes some of those dissonant half-step intervals creep in when you don't want them. If you palm mute all the strings before picking the next string/note, you can kind of get away with a monophonic sound, but it's definitely not legato. You can also make chords with finger picking. Here you can see the intervals for making a triad in this consequential key of A minor is simply plucking every other string, like hitting every other white key on a keyboard. With the limits of only 7 notes at our disposal, we can still technically hit every chord in the key by using some slash chords, changing the position of the 3 notes in relation to each other. We can change key too with the left hand if we want. And bar fingerings could take us to new registers. Or you could use the left hand to operate a slide, shifting chords to great advantage. It's a little similar to a lap steel guitar in that respect, which uses various open chord tunings to free up your left hand for a slide also, but restricts what melodies you could pull off using just the right hand alone if you were to go back to that. The finger picking and strings separated by just a note's length in a particular key also made me think of the harp, which would essentially be the same thing except extended over several octaves, and with little levers that you can slightly change a note to fit a particular key you want to be in. Maybe we could kind of do the same thing on guitar with partial capos or those quick drop tuning mechanisms. The interesting thing about playing harp, though, is that your left hand is still the primary hand playing melodies over something maybe more supportive played by the right. And actually flipping the guitar to the opposite side or standing straight up is a more comfortable position when trying to use a 2-hand picking technique, with each string having its own dedicated finger. Of course, on a harp, my right hand would be where the fretboard is and not over it. But this is still quite an interesting feel and warrants use on extended range guitars. So what do you all think? Were you as surprised about all the parallels to other instruments as I was? In terms of design, I think running with the slide of a lap steel combined with the playing position of the harp could create a pretty crazy instrument. Imagine a metal harp or lap steel tuned super low in the spirit of djent. Or a free left hand could let you manipulate things like the tone or volume knob while you're playing. Or even MIDI controls to change anything you wanted, including distortion or digital effects in real time. Admittedly, I was worried about what kind of results this experiment would yield, and whether it would be enough to warrant its own video. But I am more than inspired and impressed now. Make sure to clue me in on any connections and ideas you guys thought of. For now though, enough said. For early video access, raw instrument tracks, and more exclusives, find our community on Patreon and consider adding your support.
Said too much.